TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Hey, good morning and welcome to I guess it's afternoon, right? And welcome to my show. It's Sunday. It is the last day of June, June the 30th. And my name is Scott Webb. Some people call me Beam 'em Up Scotty. And we're here to talk about Major League Baseball today. And Sundays, are interesting days. It's the last day for these teams to be playing each other before they travel, moving on to new cities. And then they'll have, obviously, new matchups. And, those are fun days for me because sports books typically don't get those new matchups right the very first days out there. So those are hammer time days. So getting excited for that. Have some things to talk about a little bit today. We get into certain topics sometimes on this show, but today going to try to keep it a little more simple, a little bit quicker run through. We actually have a game already started. Pittsburgh and Atlanta started at 11:30 this morning. So they've been playing for just a little while. I didn't have any action in that game anyway, so that's not going to hurt anything for that game going not to be on the show today. So one of the things I wanted to talk about, and we've been talking about a little bit, is the Philadelphia Phillies, and now that they don't have Bryce Harper and they don't have Kyle Schwarber playing, they don't pass the test. So what does that mean? That means that offensively they're struggling. And they're gonna continue to struggle probably until those guys get back, and hopefully they get back and they don't need a lot of ramp up time to get back to the kind of caliber of play that they had. The Braves are winning now, so it's kind of interesting to see where this is going to end up once those guys get back around. The Braves don't have nearly the pitching what the Phillies do, but we'll see how that kind of works out in itself. Just be careful if you're betting Phillies. Don't be betting run line Phillies. Don't be going crazy doing stuff because you want to try to get the lines to be where you want them to be. It's not a value to you right now. They faced Munoz yesterday for the Marlins. He's probably one of the worst pitchers in Major League Baseball, and they couldn't do anything with him. So they're not passing that test. So anyway, stay away from the Phillies until they get a little more healthy. I would also say some of these teams out there, and I made a comment on a Twitter post, and everybody doesn't like them, the Mariners, I guess. They strike out a lot, and they don't get on base a lot, but they win a lot of games, and offensively they do what baseball's about these days. They get a guy on base, maybe he walks, maybe he gets on by air, and then they hit a home run. So they score 2 runs, maybe they get 2 guys on. They score 3 runs, and that's how they win games because their pitchers are pretty good. So, some of these teams are boring to watch. They're not fun. And Seattle is one of those teams, but that doesn't mean you can't bet on them. Just because they're not fun to watch, and they give you more gray hair than you already had. It's okay to bet on those kinds of teams because that's what Major League Baseball is today. The teams that are fun to bet on, man, they just it's the Baltimore Orioles. They're fun to bet on because all they do is score runs, and they're never too far behind in a game. The Guardians are fun because they're an offensive juggernaut team like that. So sometimes the matchups don't work, and sometimes the lines don't work, and you find yourself betting on other spots. But anyway, it's not about always betting the glamour teams or the fun teams or this or that. You just got to make some money when you're doing these things. I wanted to hit you with a couple of spots here. And one of the spots today that I think is probably a pretty good value or a pretty good play, not necessarily on the line in terms of its great value, but I think it's a good play. This is a game with the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals today. you have Hunter Green on the mound, and he's going to be going against Lance Lynn. Now, in this matchup, you have a pitcher in Hunter Green who's off of a bad start. His last start was the game score 26. For the season, he's a game score 56. So if you hear me talk about game score, the average game score is a 50. And if he's at 56 for the entire season, he's well above average. He's not necessarily he is not necessarily in a spot where he's an ace, like a 60, doing what those guys do. But he's well above average. He's a good pitcher, and he's been a little unlucky in terms of his record. Green has started 16 times for the Reds. In those starts, they've only won 5 times. So that doesn't really want me to go support him. He's 5-11 in his starts. In the same time, Lynn has started 16 times for the Cardinals, and they're 9-7, and he's pitched worse. So what I liked about this matchup, though, is what's been going on for Hunter Green on the road. He hasn't pitched good in Cincinnati. His SOPS plus in Cincinnati is 17% worse than an average pitcher. So that means he doesn't control the offense in terms of on-base percentage or slugging very well at home. And it's kind of difficult when you're in Cincinnati. You got a little bandbox there, and it gets hot, and then all of a sudden the ball flies out of there. So he hasn't done well at home. But on the road, he's a 55. So he's 45% better on the road against controlling offenses. And then when you start to think about the offense and what he's got to control, St. Louis's offense currently right now is ranked 19th out of 30 teams. And what hit me on this one was their ISO number, so isolated power, they're 29th out of 30. So they're not really scaring me to go up there and hit a bunch of home runs today. So I like the idea here then that Hunter Green has a better chance to perform well. And when you think about what they have on offense, they rank 9th. Isolated power is 11th. Jonathan India has been killing the ball, and De La Cruz has been good. So those two guys are carrying the offense for them. And then you look at Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn's off of a great start. His last time out, he threw a 67, and his average is a 48. So he's in a regression spot, and Hunter Green's in a progression spot. So I kind of like that. And then the other part of this is when you look at WPA, win percent added, and this is where you're going to line up all the stuff that a pitcher does good, right? He's going to pitch and throw good quality pitches, get good results, add them up in one column, and then all the bad ones and all the bad stuff on the other column, and then subtract the two. And when you think about Lynn, he's in the negative column. He's throwing more poor pitches, getting more negative results than he is positive ones. So that means he's making a lot of mistakes. And if you're the Reds and you're doing pretty well, your isolated power is a pretty good number. Got a couple of guys driving the ball. They bat back to back. You got a leadoff guy in India, and then you've got De La Cruz. I think you can do some damage here, and I think you can get to Lance Lynn. And let me see what the number is. The last time I saw that number, it was pretty decent, around a pick'em kind of number. Cincinnati, there we go. So Lance Lynn's -110, -111, -112. So you can get Hunter Green at a good price, and I think that's a reasonable number. My number on the game, if I can flip it back to it here, value breakdown, there it is. My actual number on the game was Cincinnati -105. And I've got St. Louis +105. So I think it's good. I like it. So I'll give that out as a play today on Cincinnati. Hunter Green. I wouldn't take him as a big favorite here, or not a big favorite, but even a -110 favorite. There's a little bit of value, but not a ton. And both bullpens are halfway decent, so I'm not worried about the bullpens here. So I like Cincinnati in that one. And another one that's an interesting game that I wanted to share with you that I thought was probably a good enough spot to make a bet on. And this is a game later on. It starts one of the later games. This is Detroit going out to play the Angels. And if I asked you a question, and the question was, what team currently has the longest winning streak in Major League Baseball? Would you answer the Angels? Maybe not, but they've won 6 straight games. They're playing pretty good baseball, and they're actually hitting. So when the Angels hit, they're a pretty good team to support. And I'm going to flip this over to the offense for a second. There we go. The Angels are 6th in baseball right now, and they are 4th in isolated power. So I like the idea that those guys are doing good things. They have 3 guys in their lineup right now that are hitting over 3 offensive WAR for the week for the last 7 days. That's a pretty good number. So I like the idea then. So if you take that and you go, well, that's pretty good for an offense, but what's the pitcher like on the other side? Can they capitalize? Well, they're facing Casey Mize, and Casey Mize has good stuff. He just something wrong with Casey Mize in terms that he can't get a bunch of outs. His batting average against is .310, and in the current batting average in Major League Baseball is .240, .242, .241, whatever it is. It's pretty low, and he's given up .310. It's the 3rd worst batting average of all the pitchers today. He's got a 1.61 whip rate, which is the 2nd worst. So that's walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. His problem is he's not getting deep in games. He's getting taken out. He'll have a good inning and then another maybe decent inning, and then he gets blown up. So he's got this big inning problem. He's given up. His home run rate's dropped, but he doesn't walk a lot of guys. So you sit there and go, well, why can't you get these outs? Well, he's one of those guys that misses target. He's a minus on the WPA side. He's been a minus all season. He's a minus in his last 30 days. And I think that the Angels can take advantage of that. On the other side, you've got a guy that nobody can figure out. Anderson's pitching, Tyler Anderson. Nobody can figure him out because he's a soft tosser. He doesn't throw hard. His metrics are horrible. He's got a 5.79 xFIP, 5.97 Sierra. Those are the worst. They're the worst ones for the day. So why would you bet on him? Well, the difference is that his soft contact rate is 23%. So when there's contact made, they're not going for they're not being blasted for homers. They're not being blasted for extra bases. And he doesn't miss his targets. So he's getting the batters to swing at pitches that aren't good pitches to swing at. So he's getting soft outs. He's getting easy outs. His WPA is plus .046. There's a couple guys better than him today, but that's the difference, right? You can get away with being a soft tosser, and you can get away with putting the ball in as long as you put it in the right spots. And you have to kind of match up to the offense. And when you look at what Detroit's doing on offense, there's 2 things in play here. Number one, Detroit currently is 27th out of 30 teams in offense. They are 21st in isolated power. They only got 2 guys in their whole offense that's over 1 WAR. They got 5 guys who are 1 WAR or over the other way, negative. So they got guys that are hurting them on impact than they do guys that are helping them on impact. So you've got a pretty much a mismatch when it comes to offense category. But the other part of this that I don't think people necessarily realize, the Detroit Tigers are 18% worse than an average offense against left-handed pitching. Their platoon matchups aren't very good. Their guys are better against right-handed pitchers. So when a lefty comes in, they tend to struggle. So when you look at the number in this game, the line go back to the number. Detroit is right here. So you got Detroit minus 107 at certain places, minus 106. You got Anderson, he's minus 105. So it's a pick 'em game. But the value is going to be in the offense that can capitalize on the pitcher that gives up hits. And the other side of it is Detroit doesn't do well against lefties, and they're going to have a quality lefty, meaning that he puts the ball in the right places so that he doesn't give up a lot of damage here. I'm trying to look at my number was actually on this game. I had Detroit as a little bit at minus 113. So I like this play. I don't think this is a bad play at all. I don't know that the line's giving you a ton of value, but I think that the game matchup makes sense. So there's two plays. That's Cincinnati and the Angels. Now, there's a couple of things I wanted to go over today because we don't get a lot of questions, and I'd love to have people ask me questions or ask me about games that I don't cover. Because I wanted to hit on a couple of things and a couple of notes on certain games today and things to watch for and to be careful for. So let me get out of this screen so I can get to the right menu. Here we go. There's a couple of spots today. What do we make of Garrett Cole and the New York Yankees? You know, is Garrett Cole going to go out and strike out, 12 guys today? And is he gonna throw, 99 miles an hour? I think the answer to that question is no. I think the answer to that question is until he can prove to you that that's who he is what you see. So what you're seeing is a guy that's throwing 93 miles an hour and he's getting hit. He gave up 4 home runs in his last game, and he's facing a team in Toronto today, and the Blue Jays offense ranks 3rd in all of baseball, I think. Second. They rank 2nd in offense, and they rank 3rd in isolated power. They're actually 57% better than an average offense. They're crushing the ball. They got 5 guys that are hammering it, led by Guerrero Jr., who's just going crazy right now. So I think you got to be real careful on what your expectations are of players. Garrett Cole missed all the season. This is like his spring training, if you will, and he's struggling. And until he lands on his old self, you want to bet against Garrett Cole. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and make that play today, but what I am trying to tell you to do is think that through. Think through what your thought process is, because what I know that people do is I can see it, people put stuff on Twitter and they say, hey, I'm an expert gambler. And I think that, Garrett Cole is due. Okay, well, that's not true. So just be careful what you listen to. Be careful what you train your eyes and your brain to think about. Because when a guy comes off the disabled list, he is who he is until he's not. So you got to be careful. Because now I just said that, and I'm going to tell you something almost completely opposite. So Kyle Freeland came off the disabled list, and Kyle Freeland threw probably the best game that I think I've ever seen Kyle Freeland throw the last time he pitched. If I can pull this up. Kyle Freeland, he threw a game score 75. On the season, he's a game score 32. So prior to, he pitched, I think, 4 games, and then he got hurt, and then he missed a lot of time, and then he just went out and threw a game score 75. You got to be careful with what your expectations are of Kyle Freeland. Do you think he's a 75? Do you think he's a guy that's gone out there and now he's an ace and he's going to rebound the Colorado Rockies to being some prominent team because he's a good pitcher? I think that was an outlier, right? So I say that term a lot. You have a performance that doesn't match to what he has done on his regular occasion. It's called an outlier. Treat it that way. It's an outlier performance. It's going to come back to what he normally does. Today, I don't know that that's going to be a significant issue, though, because the White Sox don't do good against left-handed pitching, and they don't hit anyway. So it's going to be one of those spots where it might be masked today, and maybe the next time he starts, you can take advantage of it. But keep in mind that you got to watch out for certain things, and those are the kinds of things I'm talking about. Kyle Hendricks is another guy. He pitches today. Kyle Hendricks started the season getting shelled, like just shelled. Every time he would go out, he's just getting hammered. Well, his last 2 starts have been really good, but you got to kind of backfold this just a little bit before that, because they took him out of the rotation. They put him in as a relief pitcher, and in the relief pitcher role, he wasn't getting shelled either. So he found something. So Kyle Hendricks is a guy that you got to be real careful on, because you don't know who he is. They play the Brewers today, and the Brewers have a big number. The Brewers number, I think, is like almost minus 185, 190 or something, with Peralta on the mound. Brewers, it's minus 189, minus 190. I would tell you that there's a lot of value in the Cubs. I think Hendricks has found something, and Hendricks is good. These teams have played each other 8 million times, and Hendricks has pitched pretty well against this lineup and against this team. Peralta has pitched pretty well against the Cubs. So I think that you have to be careful as to what you think you know and what you think you see. Every time Patrick Corbin starts, it used to be, hey, it's Happy Patrick Corbin Day, because that's an automatic bet. You bet against him. Well, what if I told you that Patrick Corbin is a positive WPA right now? He's made some significant changes over the last 30 days. He's a negative for the season, but he's found something. His metrics are better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys today. I would have never in a million years thought Patrick Corbin would come back and found something to be able to get people out with. Now, I say all that, and you go back and you look at it and you go, well, he still has started, 16 games and he's only won 5. So, you don't really want to go, hey, crazy support. But what people do is they go, well, I got to find a way to bet against him. And the line's so big, I need to bet the run line. And I need to cover 2 against Patrick Corbin. Well, if Patrick Corbin's found something and he's holding teams down and he's getting more outs and he's doing better, you don't want to bet the run line against that. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's a lot of spots that without doing your homework, you can get yourself in trouble. And that's what happens in baseball. People tend to make general assumptions, and then they take those general assumptions and say, well, I saw this 2 months ago. That's what this pitcher is today. It's not true at all. It's the same with offense. These guys make adjustments. They make changes. They have a ton of different tools and things that they can utilize to get better. And most of them do. Most of them get better. So there was a couple of notes I made, like Taj Bradley's pitching for the Rays today. And he's made 9 starts on the season. But you would think that this is a kid that, he's got great stuff and all that. But do you really know how good he is? In the 9 starts that he's made, he's allowed more than 2 runs, only twice. So he's one of these guys that when you start thinking about betting run lines or betting, first 5s trying to cover a half a run, he's a guy that might be able to do that for you because that's his thing. What happened and what happens to him is he's got great stuff, but he makes mistakes. He is a Taj Bradley. Where is he? There he is. He's a minus 42, and he's pitching against Patrick Corbin today, who's a plus 21. So he makes mistakes, and his mistakes get hit for homers. He gives up 2.36 home runs per 9 innings. You can't afford to do that in today's baseball because that's what offenses are trying to do. If offenses are trying to hit home runs and you allow them to do so, you're going to give up a couple of big innings, and that's what he does. He'll have a spot here or there in a couple games. He's given up, I think, 5 runs and 7 runs or something like that. And then every other game he started, he's either given up 0, 1, or 2 runs. That's it in his starts. So he's been really good in a lot of spots. So he's one of those guys that you want to bet on when the lines are closer. You don't want to bet on him when he's a big favorite, unless you feel like you can take advantage on your offense on the other team's pitcher and you can get a good number on the run line, which I don't really like necessarily in this particular spot. I think the Rays are starting to turn it around hitting, but I'm just concerned about where I think people are out there jumping on the bandwagon on batting against Patrick Corbin, and he's changed his game. He's a little bit better than what he was. So I don't think this is the right spot for that, but you want to look for that spot when Taj Bradley pitches. He's one of those guys. Another guy that's made some significant changes in what he's doing is Waldron for San Diego. Do you know that Waldron? I just said that Patrick or Taj Bradley has allowed only 2 runs twice in 9 starts. Well, Waldron has allowed 2 runs or less in 9 straight starts. So that's pretty good. He's got the highest WPA today. So he's throwing the ball in the right spots, getting the outs, getting the batters to do things, hitting his pitches. So he's a guy that you kind of want to try to support as best you can and when you can. Yeah. And today they face Boston and Winkowski, who's going to go, maybe 3 or 4 innings before the bullpen comes in. It's a bullpen day for them. So it's kind of interesting how all that matches out. And I will also say this. San Diego is the number 1 offense against right-handed pitching in all of baseball. So just think that through for a minute and see if that rings with a possible play for you. So, Sunday is one of those days where you have travel days, you have managers that do silly things. I'm not sure what Juan Soto's situation is for the Yankees. It looks like yesterday he was talking about that, he might be able to do some things. The X-rays came back negative. But then today there's reports out there that he wanted to go get some more testing and some more other stuff done. So I don't know if he's in the lineup yet. I haven't saw that. And, the Yankees aren't the same without him in the lineup. The Yankees are 2 guys on offense. I mean, they're just basically 2 guys. It's Soto and Judge. And although I think Stanton was doing pretty well for them, but right now he's not able to play, and they're going to struggle on offense. They're going to need their pitching to get things back together, and they're facing a pretty good offense today. So we'll see how that turns out for them. As we wind this up, I don't have anything else. I gave you Cincinnati and the Angels today. I think Sundays are tougher days. You got to keep an eye on the lineups, because you're going to see, I know in Boston, O'Neill's not playing, for example. So you got to be careful on what you're seeing, because these guys rest them. Tomorrow's a really short day. I think there's 3 games, maybe 4 games tomorrow on Monday. I won't be here Monday because there's no reason for me I don't do Monday shows very often anyway, just because there's less games. So I'll be back on Tuesday night, 6:15, getting ready to handicap those games for you. And we'll be doing some of those things and some of the other stuff, you can do. Follow me on Twitter. I'm getting ready to write an article on pitchers, because I think it's important. Like everybody wants to trade for Crochet for the White Sox, right? And he's been really good, and I get that. But I don't know what value he's going to give a team. And I don't mean that in a negative way, in a sense that he's a bad pitcher. I mean that in a sense that he's going to hit an innings problem. He was a relief pitcher. He hasn't pitched a lot of innings, and now he's pitched, all these games, and, he's going to be shut down. So is he really going to help a team make the playoffs? I don't know how much they're going to pitch him. So what I wanted to do is write an article on those kinds of guys that are hitting pitching problem limits, and we'll see how that turns out. Because if we can get ahead of that curve, we might be able to spot some spots where we can pick off some things. Maybe we can do Jeff and I are going to do a show on Monday, maybe in relation to some of the stuff that's getting ready to happen with trades, and look for spots where we can find some value and maybe pick off a couple of some good lines for making the playoffs and things like that. So that's stuff to come. But follow me on Twitter, and you'll get all of that stuff that comes up right away. And it scrolls across at the bottom all the time there. But it's Webby at Webby 20 MLB. 20 was my number when I played ball. And then go to my website. Take a look around, mlb-daily.com. You can do two things there. Obviously, you can get information, but you can also sign up for newsletters. You get my newsletter every time I publish something that comes to your email. It's free, doesn't cost anything. Or you can become a client if you want to. It's $100. It's not, I don't use your money for my bankroll. I use your money to keep this thing going, to try to expand this thing, get this thing up and running. So if you want to do that, that's great. What you get there is you'll get my Webby odds, my numbers every day, my EV Plus tool that shows you where you can find value in your bets. You get weather reports, you get the pitcher report, you get an offense report, you get the score predictor. I've got some other stuff I post there every once in a while, but I haven't got too much feedback that's a popular thing. So I just put it up there every once in a while. But anyway, go to my website, sign up, become a client, go to my worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is, I think, what it is, those people say like and subscribe and all that stuff to these channels. That helps the channel. That helps me. That helps me know that you like what we're doing. Make some comments, do some fun things, and we'll go from there. But today's Sunday. Enjoy your day. We're getting ready to be the end of June. So next time I talk to you, we'll be in July. And then it's a whole different type of season in July. And then, we're getting ready to make a playoff run, and we got trade deadline coming. So there's a lot of things going on in July. So we'll keep that going. So I will see you the next time on Tuesday. Unless I'm doing Jeff's show tomorrow, I'll see you on Jeff's show. But for this show, I will see you on Tuesday at 6:15. Everybody take care. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck on your bets that you make today, and enjoy some baseball. Talk to you later.